I mean, this is so different. I mean, and I was okay as a runner. I did well, but it's just as you get older, you got to think about your joints and your feet and your hips and all that. And I so wish that I would have found this decades ago. My name is Sam Freet, and this is my advice. I am a competitive race walker, and most of you are probably saying, what is race walking? I've never heard of that. Race walking is not speed walking. Race walking is not power walking. It is kind of fast walking, but it's a very technical sport. I want to give you an example of how you actually race walk, the proper method. When you race walk, you start with your heel. Runners are usually on their foot, and even when you're doing a pedestrian walk, you're using part of your foot, not your heel. With a race walk, you start with your heel, you roll forward and push off with your toe. I used to run track back in junior high and high school, and I did love it. But as you get older, you want to do something that's a little safer for your joints. So I am 60, and I have to think about all that stuff. So I started power walking or speed walking, and I attended a bunch of races that the local Y put on in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and I kept seeing this girl who would just bolt out from the starting, and you couldn't even see her, like she was gone. She was walking, but there was something different about it. So I approached her after one of the races, and I said, what is that you're doing, and how did you learn how to do it? And she told me it's race walking. And there is a great organization. If you go to racewalk.com online, they can tell you everything from doing all the stretching, how you get involved, what it means, if you want to be competitive at the sport. So I talked to her, this girl, and she told me that she attended clinics. Jeff Salvage and Tim Seaman are the ones who run the racewalk.com online area. They do all the updates. And Jeff Salvage actually has what they call clinics, racewalk clinics. He hasn't had any lately because of COVID, but he goes all over the United States, and he has them on there. They're usually scheduled a year in advance. So I attended my first one in Virginia Beach in September of 2011. It was very interesting. I met a lot of neat people, but I mean, I can remember Jeff telling us, race walkers use 95% of their muscles if you're doing the proper technique, whereas runners and pedestrian walkers use maybe 70 to 75% of their muscles. So from that point, I'm like, whoa, this is great. I'm going to get like a full body workout. I don't need one up here because my husband will tell you I take care of that myself. But also, it's not taxing on your joints as long as you're wearing the proper shoes and you're doing the proper technique. It's very healthy for you. If you notice on this shoe, see how thick the sole is, and then it kind of tapers off as you get towards the toe, all right? Now, it does have a flexible toe box. That is one thing you need for race walking. However, it has too chunky of a heel, so it's not gonna be good for you. It can cause some damage. If you notice this shoe, it's more of, they call it a zero drop. It's almost the same height from the heel to the toe, and you can still push off with your toe, okay? It's a very flexible shoe. I do prefer something that has the wider toe box because when you push off, your toes are gonna spread out a little, so you want that. So it doesn't have to be an expensive shoe. You just wanna make sure it has like a zero drop, and there's tons of them out there. The runners are even wearing them nowadays. The shoes that I have on, these are actually called reshod. Coach Carmen, who is a race walker herself, designed these shoes specifically for race walkers. It has pushover technology, so it's supposed to help you make it easier to roll forward when you push off with your toes. One thing I do want to make sure that everybody knows, because race walking isn't very popular, it's more in the Asian countries and European countries, it's a more popular sport there, but we're trying to bring it back here to the United States. I want to tell you what the USA Track and Fields program, how they govern race walking. This is from verbatim from the USATF website. Race walking is a progression of steps so taken that the walker makes contact with the ground so that no visible to the human eye loss of contact occurs. That's the one of the rules that you could be disqualified for in a race walk race, if it has to look like one foot is on the ground at all times. And then the second one, the advancing leg must be straightened, not bent at the knee, from the moment of first contact with the ground until in the vertical upright position. If you want to be a competitive race walker, there's 2 ways you could be disqualified. When you're race walking, the first thing is when your foot hits the ground, from the time it hits from the heel until your leg is in an upright position, this knee cannot bend. Okay? So when you're race walking, you start on your heel, you push off, but when this leg is in an upright position, you cannot have a bent knee. That's one way to be disqualified. The second one is something that I don't think I have to worry about because I'm not that fast, but the elite race walkers, there's actually a time when they are walking so fast, both feet are off of the ground at the same time. Now, the rules of race walking do not want you to have 2 feet off of the ground at one time, but 16 frames can pass before the naked eye can actually see that. So someone in a competition, if it's somebody judging that race, they are not going to see it by the naked eye. So that's what's important. After learning all this information about race walking, and even there at the track where we trained, I couldn't get it. I was so frustrated. I couldn't find my hips. So when I was there at the track, Jeff Salvage said, when you go home, we were training on a track which is completely flat. He told me, when you go home, find something that has a little bit of a grade to it. He said, instead of using your arms to propel you when you're race walking, put your hands across your chest like this. He calls it the corpse walk. And he said, because you're not using your arms to propel yourself, your hips will be forced to kick in. So I tried it. And there's a street not far from our house, about 2 miles away, and it has a bit of a, not real steep. You don't want anything real steep. And I did the corpse walk, and right in the middle of that hill, I could feel my hips. Because if you can't find your hips, you can't do the technique properly. And right in the middle of the street, I was like, there they are, I found them, my hips. So from that day forward, I was able to do a more proper technique, listen to his videos, watch things, and I also have some books at home on race walking, and it tells you how to use your hips. When you're race walking, your hips aren't like side to side, it's more propelled to the front. So anyway, there's posture involved. Everything is, it's kind of like just straight. You don't want to pump your arms up too far. You don't want to pump them like chicken arms. It's almost like you're shaking somebody's hand. That's where your hand should be when you're race walking. 2 more things. When you're race walking, because of the way your hips are propelling you, you have the tendency, your legs are going to rub together. I recommend wearing tight shorts and also body glide. This is your best friend. Also, if you wear certain tops that I wear, I forget, I go out and I end up getting chafed under my arms. This is supposed to work for like 100 miles. I've never tested 100 miles. I've done at least 10, so I know it works that long. Another thing, if you're going to be walking outside, depending on how big your phone is, you want to get something like this and carry your cell phone with you. My husband bought me this for Christmas a few years back because I walk on the Horseshoe Curve Road in Altoona, and it's not real busy, but there's a lot of traffic. This way, it's not harming you in any way. You can put your phone in the back and just twist it around, put your shirt over it, and you're good to go. It's a great way to just stay in shape. And if you're an outdoorsy person like I am, where I walk, I mean, you have to pay attention to where you're going and traffic and all of that, but there's so many great things to see when you're out there. You're part of nature, you're enjoying the fresh air, and I can tell you with a fact, I'm pretty sure it does use 95% of your body's muscles, because I had an injury here a couple months ago, and I couldn't race walk because I thought it was going to hurt my back. I was having some back issues. I stopped race walking for about a month, and then I started to get back into it, and then I got COVID, and then I couldn't walk for another 3 weeks, and I gained 6 pounds because I wasn't able to race walk. So, and I can tell the difference now that I'm getting back into it. I'm getting stronger again. Race walking might not be for everybody, but if you're looking for a good way to stay in shape and if you want to be competitive, it's worth a shot. But make sure you go out and look at racewalk.com. It has all the information that you could possibly need. Get out there walking and enjoy it.